Communication in Multicultural Settings, Chapter 3.
My name is Crisbel B. Francisco from BSN 1F, and we are the Group 3. So before we proceed, we have the learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student is able to determine cultural appropriate terms, expression, and images. Nandito na yung sensitivity to gender, race, and class, or etc. Next, adopt cultural and intercultural awareness and sensitivity in communication of ideas.
Good morning everyone. Now let's talk about the theory of Lawrence Kohlberg. Ano ba yung theory ni Lawrence Kohlberg? Ang theory ni Lawrence Kohlberg is yung moral development. Yung moral development kasi, ito yung mga bagay kung paano ka mag-react sa situation or sa dilemma. Yun yung moral development. Laging natin tatandaan na ang moral development is mayroong 3 level. Pre-conventional, conventional, tsaka yung post-conventional. Sa 3 level na yon, mayroon tayong tigda-2 stage. For example, sa conventional may 2 stage, sa pre-conventional may 2 stage, sa post-conventional may 2 stage. Okay, ano ba yung level 1 sa moral development? Yung level 1 sa moral development is yung pre-conventional. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng pre-conventional? Pre-conventional, the stage where normal reasoning is based on external consequence and personal needs, focusing on avoiding punishment and seeking rewards. Bigyan ko kayo ng example sa pre-conventional. Sa pre-conventional, meron tayong stage 1, yung punishment at obedience. Yung punishment at saka obedience, yung example nito is, for example, may nanay. Sinabihan niya yung bata, ikaw, matulog ka. Pag matulog ka, bibigyan kita ng lollipop or candy. Pero pag hindi ka matulog, is ipapanish kita or papaluin kita. Siyempre, yung bata, isipin niya yun. Mas mabuti pang matulog kasi may makukuha siyang reward. Pag hindi naman siya matutulog, is mapapanish siya. Ganyan yung ibig sabihin sa punishment or obedience. Sa stage 1 yun. Stage 1, level 1. Now, doon tayo sa level 1, stage 2. Level 1, stage 2 is yung instrumental relativist. Ano ba yung instrumental relativist? Yung example lang nito is, you will scratch my back, I will scratch your back. Diba? Parang familiar na. Minsan ginagawa natin to. For example, ako, may kaibigan ako. Mayroon akong lecture sa English na ipapakopya sa kanya. For example, uy, ipapakopya kita sa math ha, ipapakopya mo rin ako sa English. Parang ganon, parang ginagawa mo yung isang bahay kasi alam mo na may kapalit. Parang kayong dalawa is yung nagbe-benefits. Yun yung sa instrumental relativist stage 2. Stage 2 yun sa pre-conventional. Ngayon, punta naman tayo sa level 2. Sa level 2, meron tayong conventional. Ang conventional is, ginagawa mo ang mga bagay para gustuhin ka nila. And also, ginagawa mo yon kasi alam mong batas at sumusunod ka sa batas. For example, sa conventional is yung good boy or nice girl. Ano ba yung good boy or nice girl? Good boy or nice girl is ginagawa mo yung isang bagay based sa kung anong maging react nila sa'yo. Ginagawa mo yung isang bagay kasi gusto mo na maganda yung tingin nila sa'yo. For example is susulatan mo sila ng lecture kasi nga gusto mo makipagkaibigan sa kanila. Siyempre, once na sinulatan mo sila ng lecture, sasabihin nyo nila na mabait ka at maganda kang maging kaibigan. Yun yung ibig sabihin sa good boy or nice girl. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Sa level 2 yun sa conventional. Next, punta naman tayo sa law and order orientation. Stage 4 na. Ano bang ibig sabihin nun? Yung ibig lang sabihin nun is law. Sumusunod ka sa batas. Yun lang po. Pag bawal lumabas, bawal lumabas. Yun lang po isa law and order orientation. Sumusunod po kayo sa batas kasi alam nyo po na batas ito. Next is yung level 3. Post-conventional. Yung post-conventional kasi is parang higit pa to siya sa batas. For example is yung social contract. Yung social contract is alam mong mali, pero alam mo sa sarili mo nakakatulong ito sa tao. For example, di ba ngayon bawal na tayo magbigay sa mga pulube ng pera. Pinagbabawal na, di ba? Pero hindi natin 'yun maiwasan na hindi tayo magbigay kasi alam natin na yung pagbigay natin ng pera sa kanila is nakakatulong, welfare, di ba? Kasi alam natin naman na wala silang trabaho. Kahit alam nating bawal, ginagawa pa rin natin kasi alam natin na nakakatulong tayo sa kapwa nating tao. Sa social contract 'yun, kaya nga tinatawag sang social contract. Ngayon is sa universal ethical principle. Yung universal ethical principle is yung parang batas na, for example, is batas talaga siya. For example, is yung pare-parehong pagtrato sa Pilipino. Guys, Pilipino sa mga tao, ganon. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Thank you.
Communication tips for local native English speakers. Individuals at institutions can no longer deny that there are uncomfortable realities of cultural diversity that exists among local or native English speaker. So, dito na yung pumapasok na isang tao lumaki talaga sa isang language lang, which is the English. So, may iba't ibang culture na same lang yung meaning nila na nagkakaroon tayo ng discomfort and misunderstanding. And yung people na yun, may mga iba't ibang perspective sila, the way sila mag-talk. So, for example, ito, number 1, avoid isn't question. For example, you're coming, aren't you? They may answer, yes, I am coming. Maybe, no, I am coming. So, depende talaga kung paano nila i-deliver yung sasabihin nila, pero same lang yung minimin nila. So, yan yung sinasabi ko kanina na nagkakaroon ng discomfort and misunderstanding. So, next, as if the person needs help finding the right word to express their thoughts. So, dito na maghanap tayo or mag-ask tayo ng isang person para matulungan tayo mahanap yung right words to express their thoughts and feelings. And next, if you don't understand a word, ask them to spell it, write it, use a synonym, or say it their native language or translation. So, dito, mag-ask tayo if kung pwede mag-spell na lang sila or i-write down nila para maintindihan natin. Next, actively involve non-native speaker in discussion, especially brainstorming session by asking for their input. So, dito mag-encourage na tayo kung paano yun, kung ano yung sinasabi nila, kailangan natin mag-brainstorming at tanungin kung ano yung minimin talaga nila. So, next, if you don't understand a voicemail, ask another person from the same language background to interpret. So, dito na, hahanap tayo, for example, sa Google. Pwede natin gamitin yon para matulungan natin yung unclear voicemail para maintindihan natin. Next, non-native speaker needs short break to stay focused and process conversation. So, dito na, we need to make a break time sa pagsasalita ng native speakers para naman hindi tayo magulo, lalo na kapag mga tao na mahina sa pag-iintindi. So, we need to make a break time muna para makapag-focus tayo if ever na babalik na naman, i-continue na naman. Next, avoid scheduling presentation for non-native speaker at the end of the day when they be tired. So, dito na yung So, kailangan may kada schedule, dapat may schedule talaga tayo para hindi magulo, hindi mahirapan ng isang speaker para maintindihan niya ng maayos. So next, provide English as second language or ESL classes can help non-native speaker improve themselves. So dito na pumapasok yung class para naman alam natin at alam ng iba kung ano yung sinasabi ng ibang culture if ever man na may mag-usap sa atin. But para alam natin kung paano tayo magsalita sa kanila or paano sila nagsasalita sa atin. Next, offer to review and correct document or presentation for better clarity and accuracy. So, for example, sa pagre-report, so, we need na kailangan yung may document sila or presentation sila na clearly para maintindihan natin. Hindi lang sa pagsasabi, maintindihan din natin kung ano yung sinulat nila dun or ano yung nilagay nila dun. Next, avoid speaking too fast or using construction or gonna, wanna that may be hard to understand. So, dito, pinapakita, kailangan slowly lang yung sinasabi natin or pag-explain natin. And be careful sa mga sasabihin natin or gonna or wanna para maintindihan natin at dapat maayos talaga yung pagsasabi. And that's all.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Haifa A. Dabi, and let's proceed to communication tips for non-native English speaker. So there are also people who don't speak English or could hardly understand the English. So these are the tips for them. Number one, if you do not mind people suggesting words so that you can communicate more quickly, say so. So, for example, is my group project kayo. Tapos yung mga kaklase mo is mga English speaker. So, nahihirapan kang i-explain yung idea mo gamit yung English. So, pwede mong sabihin sa kanila na kung okay lang ba mag-suggest ng salita para mas maiintindihan mo yung salita na naiintindihan mo. Then, number two, try to participate in discussion, especially in brainstorming session, even if you don't feel uncomfortable. So, example is may class discussion kayo tungkol sa isang topic. Then, kahit medyo kinakabahan ka, subukan mo pa rin ibahagi yung idea mo gamit ang idea mo dahil mas magiging confident ka pa rin eventually. Then, number three, if your organizations offer ESL courses, take them, even if your English is already functional. Courses designed to help you modify and it's more understandable by a native English speaker can be particularly beneficial. So, if may nag-offer ng ESL class ang school nyo na tumutulong para ma-improve yung accent mo, maganda ito para mas mapadaling maintindihan ng mga native English speaker. Then, keep a dictionary handy and make sure the word you mean what you think they mean. So, palagi daw magdala ng dictionary. Bago mo i-submit yung essay na pinapagawa sa inyo ng prof mo, i-check mo muna sa dictionary if yung mga words na ginamit mo is tama ba. Then, ask for a native English speaker for help with your document, presentation, and even send emails or phone call if necessary. So, example is pinasulat ka ng teacher ng essay. So, pwede kang humingi sa kaibigan mo na fluent mag-English. Ipa-check mo if tama ba yung grammar na ginawa mo or hingan mo siya ng feedback para ma-improve yung mga nagawa mo. Then before calling someone, think of what you want to say and look up on the words you are unsure. If you must leave a voice message, compose a message on a paper, then read it into the book. So, example is, tatawagan mo yung professor mo na English speaker. Then, magtatanong ka tungkol sa assignment mo. So, maganda if isulat mo muna yung sasabihin mo sa sasabihin mong tanong sa English bago mo sabihin para hindi ka mautal-utal. Then, make sure you know and use appropriate technical words that people in your field use. Find a native English speaker who will take the time to discuss this with you. Use sketches, diagram, and pictures to ensure that you understand correctly. Use the term repeatedly until they become a second nature. So, for example, is my science experiment kayo. Then, kailangan mong i-explain yung result ng experiment nyo through English. So, humingi ka ng tulong sa classmate mo para i-explain sa'yo yung mga technical terms na hindi mo maintindihan. Then, last, do not attempt to use slang and idiomatic expression until you quite comfortable with the language. Using this incorrectly or wrong situation can be backfire. So, iwasan daw yung paggamit ng mga slang word. Example, yung mga ASAP or yung mga low-key. So, lalo na if di mo siya masyadong gets or hindi mo alam.
Good morning, sir. I'm Humayna B. Duruha. I'm the Group 2, and the topic is about global communication in multicultural setting. So, the homogeneous is a thing of the past in most international organizations and companies. More and more teams are made of people with different nationalities and therefore different culture, language, ideas, behaviors, and way of doing things. So, in today's international organizations and companies, diversity is the norm rather than the exception. Teams are increasingly composed of individuals from different nationalities, bringing a variety of cultures, languages, perspectives, and working styles. So, dahil dito, mas naging malikhain and innovative ang grupo. Pero may mga challenges din tulad ng language barriers, magkaibang communication styles, kaya mahalaga ang clear communication at pag-unawa sa cultural differences para maging epektibo ang teamwork. So number 1 is language issue. So English may always be the language of the office. Is that not mean everyone is totally confident in its use? Also bear in mind they may not appreciate the language to the same degree as a native speaker. So even though English is the primary language in the office, not everyone feels completely confident using it. Some employees may struggle with speaking, writing, or understanding it. So especially if it is not their first language. Additionally, they may not grasp the language as naturally or deeply as a native speaker. Kaya minsan nagkakaroon ng miscommunication. So number 2, conflict resolution issue. Different cultures approach conflict and disagreements in sometimes very contrasting ways. So, conflict resolution differ across culture because of variations in communication styles, values, and social norms. So, a method that works well in one culture may be seen as rude or ineffective in another. So, mahalaga ang pag-unawa sa mga pagkakaiba nito para mapanatili ang maayos na relasyon sa diverse in workplace, negosasyon, at social interaction.
Good day everyone, I am Nashra Leon. So let's proceed to gender issues. Every culture or society has its own understanding of gender relations and acts according to them. What is acceptable in one culture may open in the other. So, gender issues, it refers to any social, cultural, economics, or political problems na nagsisimula sa hindi pantay ng iba't ibang kasarian. Kasama na dito ang gender pay gap, gender-based violence, at hindi pantay na oportunidad sa edukasyon at trabaho. So, upang malutas ang mga gender issues, ay dapat pantay ang pagbibigay ng karapatan sa lahat ng kasarian. So next is decision-making issue. Different cultures have different ways of making and expecting decisions to be made. Some expect the consensus is the only way to go, that all teams should be approached for their points of view and using rational debate come to an agreement. So a decision-making issue occurs when there are problems or challenges in making effective and fair decisions. Maaaring sanhi ito ng kakulangan sa impormasyon, biases, and poor communication. Decision-making issues can lead to misunderstanding or negative outcomes. So mahalagang magkaroon muna ng malinaw na layunin at maingat na pagsusulit bago gumawa ng desisyon.
So, hi everyone, good day. I am Christine Bernardo. So, let's proceed to the varieties in spoken language. So, spoken language is a language provided by articulate sounds as opposed to a written language. Many languages have no written form and are so only spoken. So, different people will need levels of accuracy and fluency in spoken language depending on the professionals they are in. So let's discuss the different varieties in spoken language. So number one, we have the professional spoken language. So this is a type of language is used by professionals in the specific industry. So the speech used here is highly technical with stress put on facts, figures, data, and industry jargon. So this is like you're talking to a professionals and someone at work, diba? They are using some special words, numbers, or etc. that only them can't understand, diba? So imagine that I am a doctor and I'm talking to another doctor. So we are using special words, numbers, etc. at work that only doctors can understand. So that is the kind of like professional spoken language. So diba, it is the way people talks in the at the work using words that are specific in the fields. So number two we have the literary spoken language. So this is a language used in magazines and newspapers. The stress is more on communicating with a large sections of the crowd. The speech follows all rules of grammars, and yet the words used are simples and common. So sa literary spoken language, it is used in correct grammars and only simple words to make sure as many people as possible um, as possible can read and understand the informations. So for example, you are reading a newspaper or magazine's article. It's written in the way that everyone can understand, diba? Even ket wala siyang special knowledge sa particular na subject, that is literary spoken English. So the other po, i-discuss po ni Miss Eliza Faith Fernandez po. Thank you.
The conversational spoken English. So the conversational spoken English is the kind of English we use when we talk casually or in everyday conversation. Hindi masyadong formal, kaya ang mga grammar rules medyo relax lang. Minsan relax lang. So, ang focus dito is more on making sure na naiintindihan ng kausap ang message mo. So, kaysa sa perfect na grammar. So, minsan kapag nakikita na ng nagsasalita, na gets na ng listener yung mga sinasabi nila, is pwede nilang itigil yung sentence halfway. So, hindi na kailangan tapusin lahat ng words kung clear naman yung ibig sabihin. So, in short, this kind of English is all about getting your point across easily and naturally. So, Sa nakikita niyo, di ba may mga situations, conversation dyan? Yan po ang halimbawa ng conversational spoken English. So, basahin niyo na lang po. Let's proceed sa slang, ethnic, and vulgar language. So, dito, ito is mga special na words na ginagamit sa everyday na pag-uusap natin. So, every language may mga words na maraming ibig sabihin. So, depende kung paano at saan mo sila gagamitin. So, ang mga words na ito ay tinatawag na slang at karaniwan itong specific sa mga lugar or grupo. So, may mga words na hindi naman totally bawal sa society, pero maaaring sobrang offensive siya sa ibang community. Ito yung tinatawag na ethnic slangs or vulgar words. So, madalas ginagamit ito ng mga close friends kapag nag-uusap sila ng casual or friendly na paraan. So, dagdag pa, ang mga pag-pronounce ng mga words ay pwedeng magkaiba depende sa lugar kung saan ka galing. So, kaya minsan iba-iba ang pronunciation ng words sa iba't ibang regions na pwedeng magdulot ng kalituhan sa pag-uusap. So, in short, ang slang, ethnic, at vulgar language ay mga informal na paraan ng pagsasalita na pwedeng magbago depende sa lugar o kung sino ang kausap.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. I'm Paidoji Toto, and I'm going to report for today the varieties of written language. The written language is more carefully organized, more self-explanatory. The word choice is more deliberate insofar as the actual situation in which a language is being used. The written language is only secondary. The written language is mostly maintained in the form of monologue. The written language is able to live forever with the idea it expresses. The written language can be detailed and objectively look at the writer as an opportunity to correct, improve what has been put on paper. It also bears a greater volume of responsibility as the writer can be seen and viewed. There are words and phrases typically colloquial and bookish. If colloquial words and phrases find their way in the written language, may immediately produce a marked stylistic effect and can be used for the spoken language. The passage explores the distinct features of written language compared to spoken language. It highlights how written language is more deliberate, self-explanatory, and enduring for greater precision and reflection. The organization. Written language is more structured and organized with focus, clarity, and coherence. The second one is the word choice. Writers carefully select the words, often using more formal and precise vocabulary. The third one is the monologue. The written language primarily exists as a monologue, allowing for more considered and detailed presentation of ideas. The fourth one is the enduring nature. Written language can be preserved and revised, making it valuable tool for conveying knowledge and ideas across time. The fifth one is the objectivity. Written language allows for a detached and objective perspective, facilitating analysis and critical thinking. The revision. Writers have the opportunity to revise and improve their works, ensuring accuracy and clarity. The varieties of written language. The passage mentions how written language can be influenced by spoken language, listing different styles and registers. The first one is the formal. This style is characterized by precise language, complex sentence structures, and neutral tone. It's commonly found in academic writing, legal documents, and formal speeches. The second one is the informal. This style is more relaxed and conversational, simpler language, and shorter sentence. It's often used in personal letters, emails, and social media posts. The third one is the technical style. This style uses specialized vocabulary and technical jargon specific to a particular field. It's found in scientific papers, technical manuals, and industry reports. The fourth one is the literary. This style emphasizes creativity, figurative language, and evocative imagery. It's used in novels, poetry, and plays. An essential property of the written variety of language is coherence and logical unity backed up by purely linguistic means. Pushkin says the written language is constantly being enlivened by expressions born in conversation, but 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 must not give up what is acquired in the course of centuries. To use spoken language only means not to know the language. Pushkin emphasizes the importance of balancing spoken and written language. While spoken language provides a vibrant source of new expressions, written language preserves the richness and depth accumulated over centuries. Using only spoken language limits one's understanding and mastery of language. That's all. Thank you.
So, good morning, sir. I am Yvonne Marie G. de la Cruz, and I'm going to report to you the cultural and intercultural awareness and sensitivity in the community. So, cultural and intercultural awareness means understanding and respecting the different cultures, beliefs, and ways of life. So, cultural sensitivity helps us to treat these differences with kindness and avoid offending others. So, for example, magbibigay po ako ng example para mas maunawaan po natin. So, for example, when a student named Ahmed is fasting for Ramadan, so his classmate show respect by not eating in front of him and learning about his traditions. So, that small act of understanding creates an inclusive and welcoming environment. So, practicing cultural sensitivity and awareness help us live peacefully and connect better with people from different backgrounds.
Good morning, my name is Rima A. Hotong. So let's move to the cultural appropriateness in communications. Lasgin Keder Baranis research emphasizes that effective foreign language teaching should integrate linguistic skills with intercultural awareness. It aims to help learners understand how identities and cultures are constructed, fostering their development as intercultural speakers who can navigate diverse social contexts. So, sinabi ni Lasgin Keder Barani na mahalaga yung pagsasama ng mga linguistic at skills at intercultural awareness. So, sa pagtuturo ng mga languages, layunin nito ay tulungan yung mga estudyante na maunawaan kung paano nabubuo ang mga identities at culture na nagiging handa silang makipag-ugnayan sa iba't ibang social context. So, Barani argues that language education should promote knowledge, culture, and values applicable beyond the classroom, contributing to citizenship and democratic engagement. The Council of Europe's framework highlights the importance of intercultural skills for enhancing communications and relationship across culture. So, dito sa pagsasama-sama ng mga wika at culture. So, dito dapat hindi lamang mga vocabulary at grammar yung mga tinuturo. Kailangan din ng culture knowledge para gamitin ang mga skills sa tunay na buhay. So, sa citizen engagement, dito yung mga language education ay dapat makatulong sa mas malawak na layunin tulad ng citizenship at paglahok sa democratic process. So, sa Council of Europe framework, dito binibigyang diin nito yung yung halaga ng mga intercultural skills para sa mas mahusay na communication at relations sa iba't ibang culture. So, recent trends focus on intercultural learning to foster tolerance and understanding in a globalized world. Laurie Brenner adds that effective communication in the 21st century business environment requires respect and simplicity, creating comfortable atmosphere for cross-cultural interaction. So, dito, yung intercultural learning ay mahalaga sa globalized na mundo para sa pagtutok ng mga tolerance at empathy. So, sinabi dito ni Laurie Brenner na ang effective communication sa modern businesses environment ay nangangailangan ng respect, simplicity para sa comfortable cross-cultural interactions.
My name is Nada Hatama, and I will be discussing to you the using appropriate terms, expressions, images, and others. So language, expressions, terms, and word meanings differ according to cultural settings. It is therefore important for people to understand language culture of the people. So language is like a special code that each culture has. So the way we talk, the expressions we use, and what words mean are all different depending on the culture we're from. So for instance, in some cultures, a certain hand wave means hello, but in others it could mean something completely different. That's why it's really important to learn about the language and culture of the people we interact with. So kapag hindi, we might say or do something that seems okay to us, but is actually wrong or offensive to them. So pag naiintindihan natin yung language ng isang culture, we can talk to them better, get along well, and show that we respect their differences. Otherwise, we could end up in awkward situations, argue, or miss out on good chances to connect with them. So in order to use appropriate terms and expressions apparently, here are some guides for you. First is slow down when you speak. Allow those who don't have the same native language as you the time to interpret what you are saying. So when talking to people who don't speak your language as their native one, talk more slowly. Kasi this gives them enough time para maintindihan nila kung ano yung sinasabi natin. Second is speak clearly and concisely. Make eye contact and enunciate plainly. Avoid using ambiguous or dual meaning words. One of the problems that non-native English speaking cultures have with the English language is misunderstanding the many meanings one word can have. So make sure your words are easy to hear and understand. Look at the people you're talking to and say each word clearly. So avoid using words that can have more than one meaning, as non-native English speakers might get confused. So next is keep it simple. Think about the people listening to you and make your speech easy for them to follow. So don't talk for too long or they might lose interest. So give them time to understand your words and pay attention to how they react to know if they get it. Number 4 is maintain respect and courtesy for people who come from different cultures. So dapat nating i-treat yung mga people from other cultures with respect. Kasi this makes them feel less stressed when trying to understand you. And do some research on how to interact with different cultures to show you care. Like for example, 'di ba sa Japanese yung mga greetings nila or how you can interact with them is saying konnichiwa. Number 5 is smile and be open. So yung body language mo is very important. So, a smile and open body posture can make people feel more comfortable. So, avoid big hand movements that might scare them. And don't cross your arms, as it can seem like you're not interested in what they have to say. Next is avoid slang. So, slang words are unique to individual cultures and not always interpreted correctly. To ensure effective cross-cultural communication, don't use slang words others might not know. So, etong slang words na to are unique to a particular culture and might not be understood by others. So, to make sure everyone gets what you're saying, to make sure na maintindihan ng ibang culture kung anong sinasabi mo, don't use slang. Number 7 is shun humor. So, when we say shun humor, what's funny in one culture might not be in another. So, humor can be misinterpreted and cause problems. It's best to avoid using humor when talking to people from different cultures, unless you're sure they'll understand it. 8 is adopt a formal communication approach until you develop a rapport with your group. So, when you first meet people from different cultures, it's better to be formal and respectful. So, using a casual style right away might make them uncomfortable. Once you get to know each other better, you can be more casual. 9 is stay away from using negative questions or answers. Double negatives can be confusing even for native English speakers, and they're even more likely to be misunderstood in a cross-cultural situation, and dapat you should keep your questions and answers simple. 10. Ask for feedback. You should encourage the people you're talking to give you their thoughts and questions, and to ask questions. This is two-way communication that helps to prevent misunderstandings. And lastly is summarize what you have said. So, don't assume that everyone understood you the first time. So, dapat mong i-repeat kung ano yung sinasabi mo and summarize it. Summarize your own points in a different way to make sure everyone gets it.